And my question is, why did you guys audition for kind of the position, the casting that you are, other than, you know, you were a demon and then turned into an angel?
I'm sorry.
It's almost an existential question. Why did we audition for these parts? Did you audition, or were you just offered the part?
No, I was Kim Manners, who was one of our executive producers on the X-Files, called me up and asked me if I would do the role, and so just the opportunity.
You said no.
And I said no, and he goes, "Oh, come on." And I said, "Okay." But you know, so to be able to work with Kim again, and before he passed away, was I really wanted to do that, and plus to go back up to Vancouver and work with that crew was, you know, something that I wanted to do. So, but I didn't audition for it. So there was no decision other than saying yes.
Mine was weird because it's exactly the same but different. Kim and I were quite close, and he'd always said to me, "You got to come do the show, you got to come do the show," and it never worked out. And I'd see him year after year. You love the boys, you love this stuff. It's great, it's great, it's great. And I was working with his brother Kelly, and when Kim was really sick, and Kim subsequently passed. And then this came up, and I could not go in for it. I had to. It was just like, you got to do it, because that's just the way it's got to be. And it became, you know, it went from a guest star shot to 4 years of hell. Literally. But it's the same thing. It's the same person.
For me, I had not watched the show. I didn't really know what the show was before coming onto it, but I had seen the posters on bus stops of Jared and Jensen sort of smoldering. And the audition came in, and I recognized the title of the show, and I thought, you know, I've never done a soap opera before. Might as well give this a shot. So that's how I got there.
Hi, Samantha. What attracted you to the part of Mary? Did you get a script, or did they ask you, or did you audition?
I auditioned, and at first I was like, I'm not going. This is just one tiny scene. Why am I going to do that? And then I read the script, and I thought it was fantastic. And when I went on the audition, David Nutter, the director, was in there, and he and I laughed so hard because you've all seen the pilot? Okay. You're familiar with the show? You know, if you remember, like, I'm asleep, and I have to wake up, and I see the monitor, then I have to walk in, and I see this monster. Well, imagine doing that in a room, like in normal clothes with people sitting at a table. You're like, hey. So you have to pretend you're asleep, and you wake up, and you walk in, and you see, and you run. I ran into a plant. David Nutter was laughing at me. I'm like, well, come on, what do you expect? I'm supposed to be sleeping, then I'm running, you're a monster. I mean, well, come on, it's hard. And then he winked at me at the end, and I'm like, I winked back. And then from then I was like, I'll do anything David Nutter does. And then once I met Kripke, I was like, I'm in. So I was fortunate to be included.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Erica. My name's Maddie. And
Hi, Maddie.
Hi. And I was just wondering how your audition was like for Supernatural.
Oh, yes. That old chestnut. Well, I live in Vancouver, so I don't know if anyone knows, but I was on the show twice before. Hannah? Yeah. And so when you live in Vancouver, you end up auditioning for shows all the time. So I think I probably auditioned for Supernatural like 20 times, at least. And this is silly, but I was driving to the audition, and it was pilot season, and I don't know if you know what that's like, but it's mental. You're memorizing like 40 pages. You know, 1 minute you're goth, the next minute you're a lawyer, the next minute you're changing to all these different characters, and this is actually spooky. So I was driving to the Supernatural audition. Does anybody ever ask for parking? Like, does anyone ever go, Angels, can you give me a parking space? Yeah? So I was running late, and I was stuck in this construction traffic, and I was like, I had 3 auditions. It was just such a busy day, and I was sitting there and I went, okay, angels, if you exist, just let me get this part. And here I am. So, because the weirdest part was I came into the waiting room, and I just, as actors, you sometimes do this. You're like, oh, I should have worn that. Oh, she's taller. Oh, I'm not gonna. You do this kind of comparison thing. So I went in and I did the audition, and it was just the monologue where she wakes up, and they just look at you and they go, thanks. Okay, I'm just gonna go. There's just no nothing, no gratitude, you know. So I went home, and I think I was just pilot season exhausted. And my husband's like, "What's the matter?" I'm like, "Don't talk to me. I'm so tired. And there's all these young girls." And I was like, so this happened, and then I booked it. So don't compare yourself to anybody because it's just pointless, right? That was a long answer. Did I answer one? Yeah. Okay. So angels exist. There you go. That's the moral of that story.
Hi.
Hi.
I was just wondering, what drew you to the role of being Chuck? Why did you think he would be a good character to play?
Well, you know, it was an audition, right? And but there's like sometimes you go on an audition and you're like, okay, I can pretend I'm this person. You find a way to sort of get into what that person is. But with Chuck, with certain roles, you're like, oh, I know exactly what this is. And so it really was like just a matter of like, I put my thing on it, which is what I just felt like it was. And fortunately for me, the producers saw it the same way. They're like, oh, wow, yes, that's it. That's what we want. It could have gone the other way. They could have been like, no, that's not Chuck. But I just felt like I knew it. I knew him. I knew that, what it was, what he needed to be. And again, it's like that character I play a lot. I did sort of understand that, the sensibilities that he brought. I mean, at that point, he was still just the prophet and the writer and all that. And but I got all that. I got that stuff that was Chuck. And honestly, the like triggers for me, I remember my audition is I thought, you're drunk. You haven't seen the light of day in a while. You know, those are like the things I was thinking. And but I didn't play like sloppy drunk. I was just someone who's been sort of a bottle of whiskey and a typewriter like for a long time. And that awkwardness of, you know. But yeah, there's so many things about Chuck that appealed to me. I liked as it went along. Even in that first episode, I remember feeling like, oh wow, I'm like a father to these guys in a way. Like I feel like I've created them, right? So I feel this kinship to them, which I really like that part. And then of course there's the funny part, and I Am the Prophet Chuck was like really just made me laugh. And so I was so happy. You know, at the first it was just a one-off, one episode guy. So I was just really happy it turned into more than that.
Cool, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I was auditioning for Phil Sgrisia, who just directed the pilot, which you saw. And I didn't know was a producer at that time. He was a director, and so I wanted to go as a director. And he came in, and he's kind of scary when you first meet him, because he yells. But that's just how he talks now, I know.
That's just his voice!
And he said, we started talking about football, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna need you to do the accent. I went, oh yeah, you betcha. And then I was leaving the room, and he went, go Bears! And I said, no, go Riders, which you guys don't get is a Canadian reference. But we started talking about football. I think that's what got me the part. And here's the secret, I don't know shit about football.
I just wanted to say that you guys are all amazing, and I especially love Rowena. She's one of my favorite female characters. And this is a question for Ruth. How did you react when you found out that you were going to play the part as Rowena?
I am... Oh my god. It's honestly, I tweeted yesterday on my personal Facebook, it's 2 years since my first episode aired, exactly. And I can't believe I'm still here. Right? I can't believe it. sides and you read for the casting director and the producers. I hadn't had an audition in America for TV in 2 years. And there was something, I just had that feeling, you know, when things was just so right. And my agent, who's no longer my agent, called me, he got me back into read, and he got me into just do a safety tape in an American accent, and I kind of mixed, because they were just worried sometimes the powers that be in the studios are scared of different accents, or you know, just wanted to take care of me because they really wanted me for the part. And so I went back in, I did another tape, and I was back and forth and back and forth. And then my agent called me to say, Ruth, Warner Brothers want you to go in again. And I went, okay. She went, I'm only kidding, you got the role. Really? Yeah. And
Is this the agent you fired? I wonder why.
no, she's a lovely woman. She's a lovely woman.
No, she's not. No, she's not. Ruth, can you show everyone your English, your American accent?
It's really,
It's amazing.
it's really hard to do it just like out of the block when people are waiting to hear like a Scottish vowel or something, where they're waiting to hear it go wrong, right? It was a slow dawning, I have to say. After that, I was kind of hoping for a few episodes. I was in for 1 week for 2, and I was really hoping we didn't go to 5 or 6. I don't think anybody knew it was going to go the way it was going to go, including the showrunner, Jerry Carver. You know, he kept adding more in, and it has been the best thing that's ever happened to me, ever. So I was so excited just to have a job. I'm kind of glad I sort of didn't know at the beginning where it could go. I didn't even know about this, right? I didn't know about all of this. And again, it's been the best thing that's ever happened to me, so thank you.
I just wanted to know how you got involved in this crazy supernatural family.
Well, it all started with a casting session. I walked into an office, and before I sat down, Mr. Robert Ulrich, the casting director of Supernatural, looked at me and goes, "Wow, you look just like Jeffrey. Hope you're at least decent at this read." That's what he said. And we had a history. I've auditioned for him before, so he was kind of making a joke and kind of being, "Please don't screw this up. Your face is perfect to play younger John." And then I came to a convention, and I met Rich, and I met Rob, and that's the last thing I remember. Now I'm here with my 2 best friends on stage, giving you mediocre answers to your lovely questions. And I'm never leaving.